Hey people, one of my favorite people in the world had shared this. This is Taryn. He's the best dad in the world. He's real smart and the hardest worker I know. He shared this. I watched this morning. And it's long, it's 45 minutes, so I'm going to cut this apart so I think everybody should see. But this is where Taryn's at. He works his ass off shoveling money into this bucket that's just raining out. And he's ready for a cure for this. This comes from the Vrouwen voor Vrijheid channel. This is Women for Freedom. And it's by far their most viewed movie. Well, 6,000 subscribers. Gets way more views than all the other videos. Haven't been up, but 7 months ago was their first video. And so the channel's growing fast. And it's called Monopoly Follow the Money. And I'll leave the link below. But I want to skip to the end where most people missed it. I want to show you how they laugh at you. But this is an informative video that gives an overview of what's currently happening in the world. And it starts by, connecting the dots to all the money. And shows how you can do it yourself with a computer. And it's all in English. A lot of this writing would be in Dutch, but it's all in English. And it starts by connecting the dots of the 11 main companies that own everything that you see in your grocery store. Puts these companies together with all their top investors. And it turns out that the Vanguard and the BlackRock pretty much own the world. And she connects how the same people owning this are owning all the electronics, all the information, everything has to do with travel, all the power, all the big industry, all the poisons and all the medicines. And all the media and everything you see and ingest, everything you occult, how they're all connected and all reading off the same script. And all the money, comes out the end of this trail here.
The UN agrees with Schwab that a pandemic is a golden chance to accelerate the implementation of Agenda 2030. It is worrisome that the WEF and the UN openly admit that pandemics and other catastrophes can be used to reshape society. We must not think lightly about this and do thorough research. On Friday, October 18, 2019, months before the pandemic was announced, a gathering was held in the Pierre Hotel in New York City. It was a meeting for very important persons. Present were politicians, highly credited health experts, and pharmacologists. The goal of the gathering was a simulation of a worldwide pandemic. Could be a coincidence, right? But as an example, they used the coronavirus. The simulation covered how the virus would develop and how it could only be detained if people cooperated in industries, governments, and government agencies. Again, a new world order to save us. Is it surprising when I tell you that this gathering, Event 201, was organized by the World Economic Forum, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the Johns Hopkins Institute? This is no conspiracy theory. Look on the official website of Event 201. At this point, you may not be surprised anymore that the Robert Koch Institute, just like any other public institute, is closely connected to Gates' WHO, and that it created a similar simulation in 2012. Just like in Event 201, they took a coronavirus as an example. In this simulation, the starting point was a food market in Southeast Asia. A coronavirus would jump from an animal to a human. In the simulation, it takes some weeks for the Chinese to discover the virus. In this way, it can spread all over the world. A simulation is made of the next 3 years of lockdowns, destroyed economies, and the impacts on society, riots and protests included. I won't go into the details, look it up on the website of the German government. Lastly, I would like to show you part of a talk of virologist Mark van Ranst which he held on January 22nd, 2019 in Chatham House. The Chatham House organization is financed by the elite corporations and also by the Gates Foundation. This is an important non-profit in London where important figures gather to talk about the world's problems. The Chatham House Prize was given to Hillary Clinton, Melinda Gates and John Kerry. During the talk, our own Ab Oosterhuis is in the front row. Van Ranst explains how he misled the people during the swine flu. He triggered fear by death numbers without context and media manipulation. He laughs as he tells how he made sure that the vaccines of the pharmaceutical companies he was working for then were accepted by many fearful people.
To tell you about my experiences being the crisis manager, the flu commissioner for Belgium and highlighting the communication aspects there. And then you have one opportunity to do it right. I mean, day one is so important. In day one, you start your communication with the press, with the people, and you have to do it right. I mean, you have to go for one voice, one message. In Belgium, they chose to appoint a non-politician to do that. I mean, I have no party affiliations, and that makes things a little bit, at that time at least, a little bit easier because you're not attacked politically, majority, minority. That doesn't come into play, and that was a huge advantage. The second advantage is that you can play in Brussels the complete naive guy and get a lot more done than you would otherwise be able to do. You have to be omnipresent that first day or the first days so that you attract the media attention. You make an agreement with them that you will tell them all, and if they call, you will pick up the phone. When you do that, then you can profit from these early days to get complete carpet coverage of the field, and they're not going to search for alternative voices there. And if you do that, that makes things a lot easier. And then you have to say, okay, well, we will have H1N1 deaths. Of course, that would be unavoidable. I used there Sir Donaldson's quote where he said that in the UK, by the peak of the epidemic, 40 people would die per day at the end of the summer. So 62 at that time million people in UK, 40 deaths a day. I worked it out for Belgium. That would be 7 deaths a day at the peak of the epidemic. I used that in the media. 7 Belgian flu deaths per day at the peak of the epidemic would be realistic. That is true in every year, even interpandemically. Deaths per day at the peak of the epidemic would be realistic. That is true in every year, even interpandemically. That is very, very conservative. However, talking about fatalities is important because when you say that, people say, wow, what do you mean? People die because of influenza? And that was a necessary step to take. And then, of course, a couple of days later, you had the first H1N1 death in the country, and the scene was set and it was already talked about. And then you had to pick who is going to be vaccinated first. And then, well, women and children first, whatever. I mean, risk groups, they were important. And then I misused the fact that the top football soccer clubs in Belgium inappropriately and against all agreements vaccinated they made their soccer players priority people. So I said I can use that because if the population really believes that this vaccine is so desirable, so I said I can use that. Because if the population really believes that this vaccine is so desirable that even the soccer players would be dishonest to get their vaccine, I said, okay, I can play with that. So I made a big fuss about this. This is Van Ranst is raving mad. But it worked.
We could talk for hours about the virus of which the survival rate is 99.98% and about the incomprehensible rules that destroy our society. Millions of entrepreneurs are broke. Countless people died in loneliness, in care homes, separated from their families. This is no life. But we know enough facts now that place the corona rules in a much clearer perspective. The perspective of the elite. Big BlackRock and Big Vanguard do not benefit from borders, import taxes and real diversity. Only by means of fear and media manipulation can they contain us. The elite's not going to cure us from the diseases we got from their toxic foods or from the environmental pollution. If we did not get sick, the pharmaceutical industry would collapse. The elite's not going to cure us from the diseases we got from their toxic foods or from the environmental pollution. If we did not get sick, the pharmaceutical industry would collapse. Nothing sells better than fear is the slogan of virologists like Van Ranst. You're going to be surprised, like I was, that we have often been warned.
I think we're being run by maniacs. If anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, I think they're all insane. But I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. That's what's insane about it.
With this video, I reach out and hope to bridge the ever-growing gap between us.
In the majority of my movies, I examine the ancient language, and this last comment I scrolled across here, I'm going to finish this up looking at this final word, believer. And so I got it broke down here, Ba-El, Yahweh, R. And so it looks like this if you were to line it up with the ancient Phoenician letters or the ancient Hebrew letters. And it would be written backwards like this. But when we put an R on the end of a word, it means the type of. The type of person that believes is a believer. And so believe breaks down, B is bet, is in. And then L, comes from this word that they say means God most of the time. Sometimes they say it means no, and it has a couple words, a couple meanings that they give it. But, anything starts with an A reads backwards. And so usually there'd be an E after, and that's why it's the L. But they'll say this word, comes from the L Brit. This Brit is the covenant. And so that would be God's covenant, British, the Brit in writ. And they say it means God's. Also it means helpless, they say. Or mighty, or power, or strong. And so the power probably fits best. And you can see it here, L, Yahweh, Jehovah, Y-E-V-E, or I-E-V-E, believe. Alik, or to give yell, it reads backwards, your God, L, all. But the E-L, is E is the life of, and then L is authority or tongue of authority, N of authority. And then this is Yad He Vav He, Jehovah, or Yahweh they'll call it. But I say it's you, this I, J, or Y, Y-E, and then the Vav is the W, the U, or the V. Y-E-W-E, and I say it means you. If you understand how to read this, it means you, in the power, you, of the one that understands how to read this, are the type of. And so they want us to believe that believe means something that you can't see, touch, hear, prove. You just believe it to be true. And if you're that type of person, you're a believer. But it actually means Ba'el, in the authority of you first. In the authority of Lord, the Lord. Lord meaning someone who understands how to read this language. In the tongue. Tongue is the authority. The authority, you, to make the connected life. That's the spirit, that's your knowledge that's running the body, the Jew body. You can see that same word here, J-E-W-E. In the power, Jew first. So in the majority of my movies, I talk about things that I know, and I talk about things that I'm trying to figure out, and things that I know is wrong, and I know they gave us a bad interpretation. And these same Baal in gods are the same people who are running things today. Ba in God, you first. So I'm going to leave the link to the Women for Freedom channel to this movie at the end here. But I want to show you this first. The first time this word's used, Yahweh, Y-E-W-E, you, or Jehovah, some call it, is in this story of the creation of man in Genesis 2. And these are the generations, And by us as what you, Y-E-W, as you from Yel, to share. Starts with A and it reads backwards. Mayel and share. What you from the backbone. Mayel means a backbone. To share, to same is. The same is of the heavens. What you from the backbone share, the same is. So this final M looks more like the letter S, and it's always given plural. Usually this will say gods and the heavens. It's the final M is a S. It's pronounced as a S. So this word that they say is Adam or man is not. This is ads and ADS and ads. This is the Adam here. They'll put a final E after the M, and so that means the M's not a final, so it's pronounced as a M. The Adam, A-D-M-E. The Adam. And to add jolly, J-O-L-E. This is where your word jolly come from. It means happy. To add the jolly men. You can see that here in Job 2018. From the proceeds of business, and know he will get enjoyment. He will get enjoyment. His jaws, J-O-L-S. His jaws, get his jollies. And then backwards and forwards after this tack. To share the arch. To add the jolly men. Share the arch. And the squaw, S-Q-E. And the squaw, the woman. Add the jolly men to share the arch. Vav and E, the squaw. And the woman, talk, T-A-L-K. Talk of. In place, in ping. In place, them day. Had from. Them day. The atom, who its type, who, why, how its are the type of, who its type of, you from yell to, and then backwards and forwards, MDA, to made the ads, it's an S when it's on the end, to made the ads, offer. They usually say this is earth. Made the ads to offer men them day had from. Wipe, W-I-P-H, to wipe. In a pie to. In a pie to. In a circle to. Nose from it. High is wage. The ads of naps high. And so this is talking about astrology, of the ground, this being read backwards and forwards, to talk of, in place, and then EM, them, DA, day, and then had, EAD or HAD, the had, and ME, from life. Them day had from life means your birthday. And you connect your astrology with your birthday. Who, why, who, how, who, and then ITS, who, it's, are, type, the type of person, of believer, the type of that believes, or who it's type of are, who it's type of you, Mael, the backbone. 2, made the ads. And so the ads are all the pictures in the sky, the 12 pictures in the sky that go around every year, of your type, to offer, OPR, to offer men on their birthday, them day had from life. So ads, it had the same meaning back then. It meant pictures pushing, pictures used to push a product. Added in. You didn't really need these things to survive, but they're going to push these ads. The ads. The things that you can add to, but not necessary. To offer men them day had from life on their birthday. And then wife, WIPH, who face divide, or wife, one that you match up to in a pie, in a circle to. The nose from it, the high is the wage, or how the ads of Knapp's high life. The ads in the circle. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.